Hello, welcome to another video about learning and how the brain works. This video is about working and long-term memory. Your working memory is where you store the bits of information that you've just newly learned, or the things that you're actively thinking about at that moment. The problem with your working memory is it can only hold so many bits of information at any one time. So to illustrate what I mean, I want you to watch this video of a quiz show, a game show that used to be on in the 70s and 80s, which was called the Generation Game. You might have heard of it. It stars a very young looking Larry Grayson. In this particular game, the contestants had to remember as many items as possible from a moving conveyor belt. Let's just have a look at it.
Hey, look, good luck for this part of the show. Your 40 seconds starts now. On the conveyor belt tonight we have a case of champagne, some decorative china, a jukebox radio, a set of Megumi's books, a personal cassette player, a sewing machine, a homing pigeon, a champagne cooler, a stylish shirt, a milkman's hat, a water filter, an electric carving knife, a magazine rack, a golf telephone, a bird feeder, a needlepoint cushion, a hand-painted box, an electric organ, and a wine bottle holder. Keep thinking nice thoughts. Yes, here they come. Now, come and sit yourselves down here. Right, you're going to get another 40 seconds. Everything you remember, you'll take home with you tonight. OK, you'll get the first 20 seconds. When you hear a funny noise, you'll take over with the last 20 seconds. OK, good luck again. Your 40 seconds starts now. Yes, your 40
Milk
seconds.
bottles, pigeon, hat box, cuddly toy, needlepoint cushion, champagne, ceramics.
Did you say the homing pigeon?
Homing
Yeah, you
pigeon.
played the homing pigeon.
Cassette player, golf telephone,
Yes, it could.
books, the champagne cooler, milkman's hat,
You said the milk.
cassette, personal cassette thing, sewing machine, Wurlitzer, the hat box, the carving knife.
Oh, didn't they do well? Yes.
I wonder if you did as well as they did. It seems to me that that's actually a really hard thing to do, to recall to your mind a number of things that you've only seen once and very, very quickly. And this is an illustration of how poor our working memories are. Our long-term memories are really good at remembering things, but we have to get the stuff from our working memories into our long-term memories before we can then use it. If you think about it, you're not always thinking about all the actions that you're doing. We're quite a lot of the time on autopilot. So for example, if you're riding a bike, you're not constantly thinking about what you're doing. I'm going to lean to the left, I'm going to push the handlebars down. It's all happening automatically. But when you first learned to ride a bike, you probably did need to think much more carefully about each individual step. Once you've got that information into your long-term memory though, you can recall it and bring it back when you need it. The trick is to get the information into your long-term memory and then to have the pathways that you can follow to get it back. And that's the bit that requires effort in your learning. It's also not going to happen just the once. If you just learn something once and then never think about it again and come back to it much later, it's really hard to remember. It's like going to somebody's house in a town that you're not familiar with, driving around the streets and finding their house, and then not going back for 10 years, and then trying to find their house again without looking at a map. You might think, I roughly know where it is, but I can't quite put my finger on exactly where it is. That's what it's like when you've got something in your long-term memory that you can't quite access. So our filing system has to get very much better than that. How do we get things in our long-term memory and keep them there? We might use some of the techniques like we talked about in the last video. It might be that you just need to work on going back to things on a regular basis and finding them in your long-term memory. The more you do that, the more you reinforce the pathways to find that information when you need it. The important point is that you need to do some work to get things into your long-term memory. So if you're trying to remember a list of words in science, for example, and what they mean, you have to try and learn it once, but then you have to come back to it several times and make the effort to try and get that information back. So if it's on a revision card, to cover up the revision card and see if you can remember what's on it, rather than just reading it, which won't build those strong pathways. So the thing to do next is to practice with some work that you've got to learn, that you've been working on in class, see if you can get it into your long-term memory, but then come back to it in a day or two, practice again, come back to it in a week or so, practice again. The more you do that, the more you will have things lodged in your long-term memory. Now let's see, what was it? The champagne, the cuddly toy, the electric knife,